people suffered and died for their families and faith. The loyal heroes of Senjan were useful to their emperor. When there was war with Asharius, they'd receive letters of praise on expensive paper from Abravich, and every so often half a dozen more soldiers to be garrisoned in the tall round tower inland from their walls, augmenting the handful usually here. But when the demands of trade or finance, or conflicts among the Jadeite nations, or the need to end such conflicts, or whatever other factors in the lofty world of courts caused treaties to be made, well, then the raiders of Senjan, the heroes, became expendable. A problem, a threat to harmony if the Osmanli court or aggrieved Saraceni ambassadors registered complaints. "These bloodthirsty savages have violated our sworn peace with the Osmanlis, the terms of a treaty. They have seized shipped goods, raided villages, sold people into slavery," so Saressa had notoriously written. An emperor, reading that, needed to be more honourable, more aware, Danica thought, rowing under stars. Didn't he understand what they needed from him? Villages or farms on a violent border, divided by faith, didn't become peaceful because of pen strokes in courts far away. If you lived on stony land, or by a stony strand, you still needed to feed yourself and your children. Heroes and warriors shouldn't be named savages so easily. If the emperor didn't pay them to defend his land, their land, or send soldiers to do it, or allow them to find goods and food for themselves, asking nothing of him, what did he want them to do? Die? If Senjani seafarers boarded trading galleys and round ships, it was only for goods belonging to heretics. Jadeite merchants with goods in the holds were protected. Or, well, they were supposed to be. They usually were. No one was going to deny that extremes of need and anger might cause some raiders to be a little careless in sorting which merchant various properties belonged to on a taken ship. "Why do they ignore us in Abravich?" she asked suddenly, in her mind. "You want honourable behaviour from courts? A foolish wish," her grandfather said. "I know," she replied, in thought, which was how she spoke with him. He'd been dead almost a year, the plague of last summer. It had taken her mother, too, which is why Danica was alone now. There were about 700 or 800 people in Senjan most of the time. More took refuge if there was trouble inland. Almost 200 had died here in 2 successive summers. There were no assurances in life. Even if you prayed, honoured Jad, lived as decently as you could. Even if you had already suffered, what someone might fairly have said was enough. But how did you measure what was enough? Who decided? Her mother didn't talk to her in her mind. She was gone. So were her father and older brother 10 years ago in a burning village. They didn't talk to her. Her grandfather was in her head at all times. They spoke to one another, clearly, silently. Had done so from the moment, just about, that he'd died. "What just happened?" he'd said. Exactly that. Abruptly, in her mind, as Danica walked away from the pyre where he and her mother had burned with half a dozen other plague victims. She had screamed, wheeled around in a mad, terrified circle, she remembered. Those beside her had thought it was grief. "How are you here?" she'd cried out silently. Her eyes had been wide open, staring, seeing nothing. "Danica, I don't know." "You died." "I know I did." It was impossible, appalling, and became unimaginably comforting. She'd kept it secret from that day to this night. There were those, and not just clerics, who would burn her if this became known. It defined her life now, as much as the deaths of her father and brother had, and the memory of their small, sweet little one, Nevan, the younger brother taken by the Hadjuks in that night raid years ago. The raid that had brought 3 of them fleeing to Senjan, her grandfather, her mother, herself at 10 years old. So she talked in her thoughts with a man who was dead.